Psychologist Kevin Leman is best known for his birth order books. Now Dr. Leman has written a new book about the relationship between dads and their daughters. Take a look.
The person that matters the most in a girl's life isn't her mother. It's her dad, at least according to Dr. Kevin Leman. He's an internationally known psychologist and the father of 5. 4 of them are girls. He believes a girl's life decisions are directly tied to the relationship she has with her father. In his book, Be the Dad She Needs You to Be, Kevin helps every father leave a lasting imprint on his daughter's heart, now and for a lifetime.
Please welcome back to the 700 Club, Dr. Kevin Leman. Welcome. Nice to have you here again.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we mentioned you've got 4 daughters in your own family, and that's a full-time job, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, just trying to find your toothbrush in the morning. You got hair scrunchers, curlers, eyelid things that burn you, put you in the emergency room, just trying to get your toothbrush going.
Usually some of that's in your toothbrush, right?
Yeah, oh, they're different. You women are...
We are at work.
Weird.
Working a wonder. Talk a little bit about why dads are so significant in the lives of their daughters.
Well, every bit of research says this. If a dad is engaged in his daughter's life, he sets her off on a positive trajectory in life. Take the dad out of the home, all kind of bad things happen.
So talk about that a little bit, because there are plenty of homes today, we hear about it all the time, where the dad isn't in the home. How do you remedy that?
Well, if you're a single mom, number one, you can't be dad, okay? Yeah. Just be mom. Be as consistent as you can. Don't let guilt, especially for women. Guilt is the propellant for most of the lousy decisions you're going to make, Terry, as a single mom. So your daughter needs discipline, okay? And yes, maybe there's a grandfather and uncle that serves as a surrogate dad.
Strong male
But
figure.
I'll tell you, it's like making a cake. You leave out sugar in the cake, I got news for you, it's not going to be a good cake.
Yeah.
So the problem is that women who don't have a positive dad in their life are drawn toward people that aren't good for them. There's your problem.
Yeah, and you see it all the time. You talk a little bit about the role of the father. Well, you talk a great deal about it in the book, Be the Dad She Needs You to Be. But the dad being the authoritarian figure in most families, and the mom more the emotional feeding figure. But talk about the 3 principles that you share that are so good for dads to utilize.
Hey, you're going to do what I tell you to do. You understand me? Don't make me come over there. You want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about. There's your authoritarian, okay? The permissive. Brittany, honey, it's 8 o'clock. Have you chosen to go to bed yet? Okay? There's your permissive, okay? Snow plows the roads of life for the kid. The only one that's reflective of God's teaching is the authoritative parent.
Authoritative, not authoritarian.
Not authoritarian. Right? And it says, you know, God didn't put you on this earth to be run over by your daughter. You know, so when she rolls her eyes, and she will, what do most parents say? Hey, don't you be rolling your eyes in this house. I'm telling you right. You know, Dad, lighten up. Lighten up. Say, honey, ooh, that was good. Do that again. Do it in slow motion, would you please? And so if you're talking to your daughter, talk with her. If you're driving her to school this morning, don't ask her questions. Don't ask her questions. Say, Leman, if I did that, she wouldn't say a word. Sooner or later, she will. Say to your daughter, honey, what's your opinion about this? Hey, does this match this? Can I wear this? Dad, you got to be kidding me. So, in other words, if you don't go there, she's going to become a slamming clicker, which means she goes to her bedroom, she slams the door, she clicks it, and then she texts her friends like a woodpecker that's got ADHD. She'll shut you out of your life.
You have to build the relationship, don't you?
Yeah, she doesn't care what you know until she knows you care.
Yeah.
And you women, you love affection, you like words, you like sentences, paragraphs, complete thoughts. Share that with your daughter.
Yeah. And, you know, as I read the book, of course, you're writing this to dads, but I got a lot out of it as a mom as well. You talk about looking at our children, and from a dad's perspective, because his opinion means so much to a daughter, with a critical eye. We don't mean to be critical when we do that. We're trying to help, but they don't receive it that way.
The critical eye will turn a typical firstborn daughter who tends to be perfectionistic, likes her little ducks in the row, into a procrastinator. One who will never fulfill her ambitions in life. What makes you a good architect or an engineer, the perfection that you have in your work, is the same stuff that works against you with those you love. With your wife, hey honey, what's with the carrots?
Yeah.
You might be wearing carrots shortly. Be careful what you say. So the critical eye is that perfectionistic, flaw-picking dad. You need to be affirming.
Boy, sometimes that's really a difficult scenario. I want you to share, because even when dads get to be, or when daughters get to be grown-ups, dads can still impact them. You have a story of a family member that was hospitalized, and his daughter could tell it. Tell it.
Oh, well, this cousin was 20 years older than me, so we were very close. We grew up 2 streets away. And my cousin Carol, who lives in North Carolina, sent me this email, and I put it in the end of the book just to top the book off. And she says, Kevin, it was great to talk to you. It really warms my heart to hear about all your kids. Don't know if you know this or not, but my dad was in a home for the last few years. Bob and the boys and I would go and visit him every week. His tiny room was filled with pictures the boys would draw of their papa. My dad had no idea who we were at that age, at that stage in his life. Anyway, every time we would go to leave, he'd cry and ask us to take him with us. He even said he didn't know us, but we seemed like really nice people. It would break my heart to leave him. The day after Easter, I went to see him without Bob and the boys. I took him a big chocolate bunny sucker and chocolate shake, 2 of his favorites. And as I walked in the room, there he sat in some other person's clothing. That was typical, with his Velcro sneakers on the wrong feet. I sat beside him and gave him his treats. He lit up like a 4-year-old sitting on Santa's lap. I told him what the boys were up to, even though he had no clue who the boys were. When he finished his treats, there was chocolate all over his face. As I was cleaning his face, he looked up at me. He said, all of a sudden, he said, "You can go now, I'm fine." I laughed and said, "I'm not going anywhere." He said it again, but this time it was like he almost knew what he was saying. And this took me by surprise because he always cried when I left him. I told him, okay, gave him a hug and kiss and told him I loved him. As I walked out the door to leave, my dad said to me, "Boy, I never thought I'd be treated this good today." I smiled and told him I'd see him in a few days and left. 10 minutes after I left, he died of a heart attack. I was the one they called. I'm positive he knew he was going to die and didn't want me to be there. My daddy even protected me to the end. I love that man. And so dads want to protect.
Yeah.
That's who we
and
are.
Have the power to protect.
Yes.
In their words and their actions.
So when you enter that daughter's life, gentlemen, you make a huge difference.
Yeah.
By just affirming her femininity. And when she's growing up before your very eyes, our tendency is to say what? Terry, maybe you ought to have a talk with a daughter there. She's beginning to, sort of fill out there on top. Well, I'm here to tell you, if anybody should talk with a daughter about life, sex, relationship, it's dad.
Yeah, it's the
and
dad.
Mom to son. Those are the key relationships, father and daughter and mother and son.
Yeah. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but it's such important information because you and I as parents have the power to make a huge difference in the lives of our children. Be the dad she needs you to be. Father's Day is coming up in a couple of weeks. Kevin's book would make a great gift for dad, and it's available wherever books are sold around the country. Thank you so much. It's always a treat to have you here.
And much better than soap on the rope and a weed whacker.
Probably got several of those.